Let's all take a deep breath together. Let's take one more. Regular comers know that every week we do the traditional Kabbalistic kavanah, words of intentionality to prepare ourselves, of invoking that we are here for the purpose of loving our fellow as ourselves. I thought this Shabbat we might add another kavanah, not from a Jewish source, but I think it evokes very much the spirit of what Shabbat does for us. After all, you can sing anything, anytime. I mean, if you wanted, you could spend a whole hour on a Tuesday singing Taylor Swift songs, if that's your cup of tea. It isn't mine, but it's a free country. But what's unique, what's different about what we're doing here together? You'll see in this poem here at the top of our handouts by Rainer Maria Rilke that he invokes this imagery that his life is, as he says, not this steeply sloping hour in which you see me hurrying, right? We know the other 6 days of the week have a great deal of hurrying in them. There's our to-do lists, there's chores, there's meaningful work, but even then, we're not meant to work every single day, every single hour. We're not robots, right? But so that's not his life, he says. Much stands behind me, I stand before it like a tree, right? The stillness of being as if you're a tree looking back at the 6 days of the week that we just passed. 6 days full of hurrying, and we stand still as a tree looking back at those 6 days. Maybe there were really joyful things this week, maybe some really challenging things this week, maybe both. Maybe not much of anything, and that has an emotion all its own. So we look back at it. He says, I am only one of my many mouths, right? So much noise sometimes in our minds, so much we have to say all week. But which mouth is he? The one that will be still the soonest. There's a certain stillness to being undistracted, singing together, noticing what's on our minds and hearts, and not having any distractions, whether it's the distractions of the ancient marketplaces in Israel, yelling and shouting over who has the most, delicious figs and dates and almonds, which they still do in Jerusalem to this day, or whether it's all the modern distractions of the buzzes and on our phones. So what is he then? I am the rest between two notes. I love that image that music, right, is not just the notes you play, but also the rest in between the notes that altogether makes up what a piece is and what the experience is. And that's what our lives are too, right? We aren't meant to be always playing the keys, but also having the rest after one note and before the next. And that's the rest that we're in right now, with all that's evoked simply by the stillness itself. Two notes that are somehow always in discord, right? Life, we know, is not some sort of simplistic Hallmark card. And this is a poem that recognizes that, and Judaism recognizes that. The world is very complex. Why is it in discord? Because death's note wants to climb over. So we recognize that there are hard things in this world. And on that note, we would be remiss not to acknowledge the violence in Minneapolis this week and the taking of an innocent life and the heartbreak over this bloodshed and over the tensions in our country right now. And so we acknowledge the discord, right? Judaism is the tradition where even at a wedding, we break the glass to acknowledge the destruction of Jerusalem. So we acknowledge every bit of it. And nonetheless, we affirm, but in the dark interval, reconciled, right? This is the pause between the two notes, that stillness. They stay there trembling, right? Sometimes there's things in our hearts that are trembling, but we can find a moment of stillness like right now. And then what's the conclusion? And the song goes on. Beautiful. So with these thoughts added of how this poem might evoke what Shabbat is all about, I'll invite forward Liren Hawley to read the poem in its entirety for us. Liren is the newest official member of Congregation Beth Shalom, so don't forget to wish her Mazel Tov at the Oneg. It'll pick you up though. Go ahead, stand right here.
My life is not this steeply sloping hour in which you see me hurrying. Much stands behind me. I stand before it like a tree. I am only one of many mouths, and at that, the one that will be still the soonest. I am the rest between two notes, which are somehow always in discord because death's note wants to climb over. But in the dark interval, reconciled, they stay there trembling. And the song goes on, beautiful.
Thank you, Liren. Yasher koach. So in that spirit, please join me as we say these words together, as is the Kabbalistic custom at the bottom of the page. First in English. Here I am, ready to take upon myself the sacred charge of my Creator. Love your neighbor as yourself. And in the Hebrew, mikabel is masculine grammar, mikabelet, feminine grammar, mikablim would be non-binary grammar. Please join me. Hareini mikabel alai mitzvat haborei va'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. And let us say Amen. So let's take a moment. If there's someone you haven't greeted yet so far on your way in the door tonight, go ahead and greet them and share some words of loving your fellow as yourself.